Yeah, I'm very happy to share your CV amongst the audience, and also at the same time, it is giving me an immense pleasure to read out your CV before the audiences. So, Dr. Chakraborty is he is a BDS from Calcutta University, India, in June 1992. Then MDS, Calcutta University on periodontology in the year 1998. He has taken PhD from Jadavpur University in 2015 on dental implantology and regenerative osteosurgery. So his present attachment as Department of Periodontics as HOD in GNIDSR Hospital, Kolkata, senior consultant to Apollo Gleneagles Hospital, Kolkata. He has many professional attachments as an external examiner in the MTech examination in the Department of Electronics and Instrumentation at the University. Recent international publications, IEEE Con 2007 publication in Indexed Journal in 2011, conducted courses in the dental implantology and regenerative osteosurgery. He has been nominated as Outstanding Dentist of the Year in FAMDent Excellence Award 2013 and 2014 at national level. Awarded as highly commended Periodontist of the Year 2013 and 2014 at the national level. So once again, we are very thankful for your kind presence over here, and we are very much eager to listen to you, sir. I now request you to start your deliberation. I think you have been allotted for half an hour, so we are running late, and I request please
Thank you,
get
sir.
stabilized to the time as already allotted to you. I'm so
Definitely,
sorry.
madam.
Thank you so much,
Definitely.
Dr. Chakraborty. Please start.
Most welcome. Thank you very much, sir, for and obviously Dr. Juhi Chakraborty, madam, for giving me the opportunity to say something about the material, osseous regenerative material, and little bit of local drug delivery systems, which is our day-to-day common factors.
Yes, sir.
Related to our. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're audible. Your slides also.
Okay,
Have you
visible.
tried that? You can move your slides. No
Yeah.
problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
The thing is that mm, that today in this Biocom 2021, I'm thankful to the organizers for inviting me to giving or sharing few of my cases, as well as the material we prefer to use, and the thing that where we are having some problems to the material scientist in front of them. Also, we would like to say few things. So directly we are going to the next slide. This is that what is your nanotechnology, what is a biomaterial, nanobiomaterial, and preferably I would like to emphasize on nano because of the fact that nowadays, till now, we are having a paramount importance of getting these nano biomaterials available into the market, but we generally use the material which are not in the size of the nano. There are very few materials are available in the worldwide, so the demand of dearth of this thing is always there. As we know that it is relatively a new field of science that is finding its way with enormous scope in both medical and dental sciences, and it provides need for the understanding and achieving the cell specific functions. It can be divided as a science and engineering involved in the design, synthesis, and characterization and applications of the various materials and devices. But the functional and the organized portion of these materials are very extremely important. The nano size, as it has been, a small range has been given, it is not very much fixed about that. That 1 to 100 nanometer, it could be 50 to 200 nanometer. It depends upon the material of choice, this thing that which where we are using. as it is in the polymer form, or it is in a hydroxyapatite or a bioceramic materials. So depending upon that, there is the choices of the material which comes. The biomaterial science is an interdisciplinary field involving surgeons, physicians, chemists, material scientists, oral engineers, nowadays we call it, that must work together to develop materials with appropriate biological, chemical, physical properties among the devices studied for the medical and biotechnological applications. And these nanomaterials, this can occur naturally also, be created as by the byproducts of combustion reactions or by produced or purposefully through the engineering to perform a specialized function. And these material can have the different physical and chemical properties to their bulk form of the counterparts. The nanoparticles are the different shapes, sizes, and structures. It can be spherical, cylindrical, tubular, conical, hollow core, spiral, flat, etc. And these surfaces can be uniform or irregular with surface variation. And the this thing that crystal agglomeration of these kind of materials is an important criteria. Now the next slide, as we are talking about, sir was talking about this thing that periodontal tissue engineering. The peri means peripheral, odontium is the tooth. So the structure surrounding the periphery of the tooth is basically known as the periodontium. This is nothing but a cementum, alveolar bone, uh, membrane is there, periodontal membrane, and of course the portion which we generally see and we call it a gum. So these four things are very important, and we try to develop this kind of a thing when it gets certain kind of an infection. We try to regenerate. The process of regeneration is something where we get some kind of a morbidity. So now our intention is to get back the new attachment. It means that we get back the more or less 100% which we have lost. This is the actually true sense of periodontal tissue engineering. This concept in periodontics began with guided tissue regeneration, GTR, a mechanical approach utilizing a non-resorbable membrane to generate periodontal defects. It could be a resorbable membrane also if it is a collagen based. In dental implantology, guided bone regeneration membranes with or without, the word is has been used over here is guided bone regeneration is nowadays called GBR, with or without mechanical support, are used for bone augmentation, regeneration of periodontal tissues so that their original form and the architecture, as I was talking about, the function are restored. This is called the new attachment. So you are getting back the whole thing. When considering the periodontal regeneration, we believe that at least four criteria must be made in order for the regeneration to occur. These include functional epithelial seal, that because of the fact the turnover rate of the soft tissue is much more than that of the turnover rate of the hard tissue. So if you do not restrict the movement of the cell of the soft tissue, they will go into the hard tissue part where you are intended to develop the hard tissue like the bone. So we use this guided membrane which can limit the movement of the so-called soft tissue cells. So the new connective tissue fibers can form. New acellular intrinsic or the basically a cementum is a layer which is found over the tooth root surface, and the alveolar bone as you are talking about at the level of the cement-to-enamel junction is the basic thing of the of our periodontal tissue engineering. The uses of nanobiomaterials. Now I am not. I have used the term nanobiomaterials, where it is basically biomaterials in periodontal regeneration. The various procedures of bone grafting, sinus augmentation, regenerative procedures involves the extensive use of hydroxyapatite, tricalcium phosphate, which mimics the mother tissue and provides a scaffold for the growth and regenerative formation of the tissues. There lies the clue. The scaffold means it is nothing but a sort of a kind of a structural pattern which is helping the tissue to grow, biological tissue to grow in its normal form. In that particular sense, the hydroxyapatite, if it is used in a nanobiomaterial form or the nanoparticle form, it has been seen that effectivity of this scaffolding is much more higher because of the bioimpacts. What is bioimpacts? There are basically till now it's three. Number one is a factor which is essentially important for any material to be uh, taken up by the macrophage. So the macrophage taken up by the macrophage particular material is important because when you put up some regenerative material, if that material doesn't resolve or doesn't go, your formation of the cell has got no chance to get that particular place. So you are providing anatomic area into such a chemical factors where the growth of that particular, say for example, the osteoblasts which have been recently gathered attention was a bioactive glass, carbon nanotubule, that composite coating, silica and composite coating in the titanium coatings in the various forms also. So the next slide. There is the slide that we generally prefer to use because of the fact that as we being clinician, that what are the uses of this thing that I have tried to show. I think that it is visible for you. On my left hand side, this thing that in this slide you can see that area where this is called a process which we have taken an X-ray. This is a CT scan which you are showing. This particular region is having a length where upon which there is a space which we called a sinus. So there we have done a direct sinus lifting procedure with the regenerative material which is generally being formed in different countries in the world, but unfortunately we are still lagging into the formation of this thing, though we have definitely from the CGCRI only that we have developed this particular material, and that was in the market, but nowadays it is not available, but it is required for us to be there, so it will be an affordable one. So if you are going to the this thing that CT scan where we can show that the surgical part of this thing, that in this particular area, sorry, this particular area actually you are having less amount of bone in length, so we need to get more amount of bone out here. This is called bone regenerative procedure, which we have done over here, that the measurement of this thing, and we have taken the measurement into account, and we have developed this particular thing as a surgical process or procedure. We have done this surgery by lifting the soft tissue part from this particular region, and we can see the hard tissue part, but we are make a mark over here. We have taken out the bone from here. We can see now the sinus, and in the sinus we have placed the bone graft material. You can see here the sinus, the bone has been raised, and we have this is the sinus membrane. You can see there we have put the material out here so that we can get the material is basically it was a BCP hydroxyapatite 70% and the tricalcium phosphate was 30%. So after that we have put up this materials has been put, and this is the material on the right hand side is the actually the bone, that is the autogenous bone which we have taken out from there, and we have put the material there in, and again we have put it back over there, and we sutured, and after that this is after the suturing procedure. This is called a direct sinus lifting procedure. This is perhaps the first approach we have done in the eastern part of India in our GNI DSR college. I'm happy to say that this kind of this thing that is a new approach, but definitely it has been a well accepted approach definitely. So in the next slide, we'll see that we have put up an implant, and I think that you will appreciate at least that we have put the second implant. I will show just a moment. The first implant has been put, and you can see that this amount of bone has been generated from where this bone has been generated from round about 15.1. The lining was there in the 11.1. So 15.1 millimeter of the bone has been generated after 3 months. So we have put the second implant, which you can see on the right hand side of the screen, and after that these two implants are there in situ, and you can see that bone, it is well covered with the bone. This is more than 4 months now, and we are planning to go for the to give the crown of the two shaped one, which we are at this situation, the pandemic situation, which we are not in a position to do. Otherwise, this is a more or less successful story of an sinus lifting procedure with the process of osseous regenerative material. And in these particular cases, we usually now prefer nanoparticles to get it more effective one, so that we can generate the bone as not only a scaffolding one, we can get a osteopromotion also. The other uses in periodontics as a regenerative materials in the procedure as guided bone regeneration, as bone grafting materials, nanocrystal hydroxyapatite different types, as a local drug, LDD as a local drug delivery system. This has got two parts. One is the local drug itself, and the other one is the local drug delivery system. Now the delivery system may include the bioceramic crystal particles, and these particles can be of this type that it can open up with a due or particular course of time, so that it can be maybe available at the local environment. So suppose a tetracycline, our drug of choice in the field of periodontium, if we can put it there in the periodontal gingival sulcus, which is a V-shaped notch around the tooth surface, and you can put it there to the surface of the soft tissue. From there, it can release the drug, and the drug can control the inflammatory process. So these are the techniques we have started with the fibers, but we can come out with the different forms of the crystalline form or the different forms of the hydroxyapatite or TCP, if possible with the nanomaterials, so that it can be used more effectively. In case of implantology also, in case of this material has got extensive usage. Now it's a second case where we are showing actually on the X-ray. This is we call a rapidly progressing periodontitis. The patient is of a young age patient. You can see the rapidly progressing means with the date and time, the destruction of the bone is more than that of the usual one. So if that be so, then usually there is a systemic factors incorporated or included into this. It could be diabetes, it could be due to any other metabolic disorders, but many of these things are unknown also. We call it an idiopathic, that we do not know the cause of the disease. But nowadays the genetic mapping has come out, and we can go for the genetic mapping of the different way. The studies are there. This is not the position that we can discuss about this thing, that there are so many these things are coming up day-to-day practice. With the karyotyping or genetic mapping, we can formulate the disease, and we can say that patient that you are going to lose your all the teeth. But even after that, we try to get as much as possible the bone. So we can use the, I was discussing about the GTR. Here you can see the GTR membrane as I have placed over here. This membrane with the graft, we have placed the material with this thing, and the sutures have been given. And what exactly the thing that we are doing with this GTR membrane? This is actually practically the space for the regeneration, and as we have called, the barrier membrane is used to cause a barrier for the this soft tissue part and allow the bone formation or the periodontal ligament formation from this lower part, or I mean to the into the surface of the tooth and the soft tissue wall. So the osteoblastic activity is being generated with the osteopromotion of the regenerative material. This is another case where we have shown that regenerative material has been used, and you will appreciate the bone development which has taken place. Here I'm trying to show you that in the X-ray, the loss of bone, this angular loss of bone is there. This much of the bone is lost, so the surgery has been done. We have put the material here. We have used a xenograft, and we have get back this amount of bone. This amount of bone which you can appreciate from this alveolar, this angular loss to this amount of bone, and now the tooth is not mobile, and we can keep that tooth in situ, so the crown or some kind of a regeneration is being. This is another case where a lot of this thing, that bone has been lost, and you can see this is the anterior region. We call it the aesthetic zone, and nowadays people are much more concerned about the functional as well as the aesthetic part. So we have generated the bone out here also, so that this you can see. And just a moment, sorry. You can see, you will appreciate from the previous slide this to the formation of the material or the graft of this kind of a bone formation, which is always appreciable for the patient, that they can restore the tooth and get back the aesthetic or the functional part of it. Next slide shows the periodontal osseous defects treatment. It is of many types that control the smoking, the diabetes. These are all environmental factors nowadays we call. I was a little bit talking about the genetic factors, and the age is also a factor. Now the question of this bacterial contamination and these factors, there are present. So what to do with these things? We generally do, the skill of the operator is not a big issue for here. It is depending upon the surgeon to decide that what to do or not to do. The most important part is this, to decide that what type of surgical procedure we are going to do and what type of material you would like to have. That is, the answer is regenerative osseous material, which should have a osteoinductive process. Generally we call it an osteoconductive one, but we have got the idea of osteoinductive material. If that can be developed, a unique process of this thing will be accepted into our field most than that of the osteoconductive nature. So gradually these nanobioparticles will be having much more contactability with that of the other material, and we hope that material will gives us the better result. Here we have shown another case where we have put the material only hydroxyapatite, and you will I think that you will appreciate from this thing that we have tried to show you there in the slide photograph. Here the bone loss was there, and you can see this thing, that field tooth is having the healthy part of the gingiva after the surgical process. So I would like to highlight that this is very important. Nowadays we have shown the tooth only, but it is in the medical field. In a day-to-day practice, we can generate the alveolar bone, we can generate the other part of the bone with this osseous regenerative materials. So this is another case I am showing. You can appreciate that this is the amount of the defect. This much of the material has been given, and this is the bone, amount of bone has been formed. So this can be like this, from this to this, if we get back, this can be a definitely accepted one for anybody. This is another way of this thing doing the surgical procedure. We have shown by the usage of the scaffold matrix, which is nothing but the GBR, guided bone regenerative materials, and the scaffold placement we have shown it. And after 1 year, this thing, the post-operative result also showing that this much of the bone has been developed from the left hand side baseline study to the first year post-operative cases. And the bone graft serve as a filling material, as we already have discussed, with alternating properties of space maintenance, blood clot stabilization, scaffolding by providing a temporary template, all these things. And this end of this part is that tissue engineering has become more commonly used for oral bone grafting procedure. And it has got a lot of this thing, that idea that nanotechnology in dentistry is nowadays a specialized field of application, that we have got so many things to develop in this particular thing, that we are discussing about only the periodontal regeneration, the oral cancer diagnosis, even the oral cancer treatment with the local drug delivery system. Probably you will be talking about this thing, the lot of topic that I was going through the previous one. And the antimicrobial properties of these materials is also important for the nanomaterials with the drug system. That is also a unique property which can help to get a more accepted material in the field of dentistry, not only in the field of periodontal, which is a periodontium. It is at the left hand side, you can see the materials used in endodontics, which is called, I think that you know the term root canal treatment. There are also a lot of usage of these kind of materials are there. And the implant, obviously implant demands this material in a day-to-day this specialist or specialty practice of implantology. So these nanoparticles that offer the tissue with the use of their chemical components and their bioactivity, the calciophosphatic particles are often added in a simple form of the filling nanopowers. As you can see the slide more or less, and we can appreciate this thing, and we are running short of time. I have tried to show you, I've changed the few slides, so I have tried to show you the few cases by which you can appreciate that these demand of this material. And I know that in the future, this thing, the days, we will be able to develop. Here in this slide you can see the cells, scaffold, and the signaling molecules. As I was talking about, the molecules is required as a signaling molecules, means this molecule is important for to develop a scaffoldless or a material which is basically meant for the osteoinductive property. So it will create a tissue or a particular cell to develop or to regenerate of its own. So in that way, the material is much more acceptable, and it will be resorbable by the process of macrophage, as I was talking about. It is well accepted in this form than that of the form which is a non-resorbable one. So with this, I'd like to conclude my this thing. I have given my email out here, and any questions regarding this thing, I'll little bit clinical, but I am not so much so scientific person as you are, or you are. But even after that, I'll be happy to answer if any clinical question or any regarding this issue or any suggestion is there. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chakraborty. But really, it's very good, and there are a lot of questions
Please,
because
sir.
whatever we have seen the clinological tools and techniques being as a part of the pharmaceutical drug systems, nano biomaterials, something like that, and what is called the you brought the nanotechnology in your areas of research work. And as you know that you will appreciate us in managing the time things, and we are really one more speaker we are having. And
Yes, sir.
so definitely there are many questions, and since you are our neighbor man, so at any point of time we can meet you in person, or we can contact
Definitely.
over
And
phone
with
and
my
over
email.
by email, and all those things are there. Dr. Jui Chakraborty is having all the details. So
Definitely.
I'm sorry that we have to end to at this point of time. So on behalf of the organizing committee and on behalf of CSR CGCRI and Director CGCRI, I sincerely thank you so much for giving us an very illustrative and informative presentation, giving the highlighting the point of interest, particularly in the dentist technology and thereof. So there are many things. We learned a lot, but it's not enough. We need to know more when we will be contacting you in person in
Okay,
future in
definitely,
year.
sir. Thank you very much, sir.
And really, we shall be waiting for your answers and clearing our doubts when we shall be approaching to you. So
Definitely, sir.
I can
it's a-
see
Always
already
available.
questions are there in the chat box. So
I
yes.
think we can. There are.
We can forward it to me afterwards.
Yeah, I
I
think that would
definitely
be
try
nice.
to give
It's
the
almost
better answers.
1:30, and then we need timing for others also. So it is better.
Sure, sir.
What do you suggest, Dr.
From our
Juj
colleagues
Chakraborty?
as well as from students, we have questions. But sorry, Dr. Chakraborty, we are very delayed in the session. And
Okay, madam,
thank
no
you very
problem.
much for the excellent talk and so much information in this area.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Madam.